So, I'm gonna react to a video called How Blizzard Ruined Arthas and My Fans Are Still Angry by Bloomsday. This is my Opera account. I'm subbed to him on my actual account. I'm just not signed in here. And makes great videos. And after what they did to Arthas in Shadowlands, where they disenchanted Arthas with Anima, honestly, they truly did ruin his character. One of the greatest human villains of all time is 25 Anima. So, I really want to see what exactly he has to say, though. So let's just dive right into it.
You know, sometimes Blizzard writes a story so well that it becomes legendary. And then years later, they pick it up, stomp on it, and toss it into the bin. That's Arthas Menethil, the legend.
To be fair, they tried to redo Arthas twice, with both times with Anduin. They tried to take us from loving Arthas to loving Varian, and we loved Varian. We all loved Varian. Every single person I knew, even Horde fans, loved Varian. Varian Rin was genuinely the GOAT. And they killed him off in a really epic way. But it's like, they then tried to make Anduin like Arthas, but he didn't fall to the dark side. Only to make him fall to the dark side. Now, Anduin's been crying for 2.5 expansions, and he still hasn't done anything. So, regardless, let's just continue.
Game. The reason all of us want Invincible to drop. Arthas worked because of this one thing. Like I said in my Lich King video, George R. Martin once said, the only thing worth writing about is the human heart in conflict with itself. And Arthas is that quote in plate armor. But then Shadowlands came along and decided, nah, let's make him a candle wisp and let Sylvanas say the last word. Arthas begins in Warcraft 3 as almost boring.
They could have, honestly, that's something I got mad about. When I saw that Sylvanas was going to talk to Arthas, I thought we were going to get Arthas' soul coming back, and Arthas looking at her and going, I'm sorry, Sylvanas. I fell to the same darkness you did. You don't have to forgive me. But I destroyed Lordaeron and your homeland. And like he could have apologized and then said, now let me make one final change. And he should have been in the final fucking fight against the jailer. Arthur should have come through at the end and been like, my soul for the light, and helped us destroy the jailer at the end. They should have redeemed Arthas at the last fucking second. My glorious prince. I'm sorry, I apologize for yelling, everybody.
Good. Golden boy crown prince, trained by Uther, loved by his people, raised with that shiny paladin ideal of protecting the weak, spamming Hammer of Wrath and measuring his DPS on a dummy. The problem is that Arthas doesn't just want to be good, he wants to be effective. He's pragmatic to the point of recklessness, and that's what makes him a believable character. When
Jaina abandoned Arthas, right? If I was going to be a genocidal maniac and my wife left me as well, I would also crash out like Arthas did. I would also crash out. All I'm saying is, if Jaina stayed by Arthas' side, okay, he committed a little genocide. It was just a little bit of genocide, but you could have stuck with him and helped your boy come back from there. Like, she bailed on Arthas. Like, Arthas needed Jaina. And Arthas didn't have Jaina there. And then Arthas' actual father figure, because Arthas' actual dad is the king, and the king's got more pressing issues than his son. So Arthas, the guy that actually raised Arthas, Uther Menethil, Uther Lightbringer, it's Arthas Menethil. Uther literally goes, Arthas, my boy. You can't be doing this, Arthas. I would not obey that command even if you were my king. Eat a bag of dicks, you fucking arrogant prick. And then Uther fucking 180s and fucks off. Now don't get me wrong. Uther and Jaina were correct in abandoning Arthas. All I'm saying, Jaina, put your morals and your integrity to the side and stick it out with your goddamn boyfriend, man. The hoes, both male and female hoes, ain't loyal no more. Everybody's got morals and pragmatism and, like, you know, but integrity in the Geneva Conventions.
The plague hits Lordaeron, Arthas does what every anxious overachiever does. He escalates, he burns grain, he disobeys orders, he forces outcomes. He believes the armor is virtue proof. In The Culling of Stratholme, possibly the single best written moment in Warcraft's history. Arthas sees a doomed city and chooses to kill it.
What's your tone with me, boy? You may be the prince, but I'm still your superior as a paladin.
Before the plague does.
Then save Stratholme, Uther! They're all about to turn into undead. We're about to get a zombie apocalypse on our hands. And what do you want us to do, Uther, huh? My glorious prince, Arthas did nothing wrong in Stratholme, and Garrosh did nothing wrong. And if Garrosh did actually nuke Theramore, they deserved it. Theramore deserved to be nuked because Jaina abandoned Arthas.
Uther and Jaina judge him for this, but Arthas goes through with it anyway. Is it monstrous? Yes. Is it understandable? Also yes. That's why it's terrifying and genius at the same time. From then on, Arthas starts to change. He grabs Frostmourne because he thinks a cursed sword has more stats than his hammer. You know it's over. The sword isn't corruption from nowhere. It's the externalization of a decision he already made. Results over everything. That's why Arthas is the way he is. He's not possessed, he's convinced. The heart in conflict finally loses. Once Arthas puts on the helmet of domination, the writing...
So, one thing I liked about the old lore, and it's been retconned a few times by now, is that initially, Arthas was still in charge. Arthas' personality was split into two. You had three people in the crown. You had Ner'zhul, you had Arthas, pragmatic Arthas, and the innocent Arthas, the life of Arthas. And Ner'zhul pitted the two of these against each other. So Ner'zhul pitted pragmatic Arthas against the light of Arthas, and the light of Arthas got buried because Ner'zhul was telling Arthas that we have to turn the whole world into the Scourge to save the world from the Legion, to save the world from the Black Empire. Ner'zhul convinced Arthas that the way to save Azeroth was to conquer Azeroth. No more wars, no more tragedy. And what happened instead, chat? What do we think happened? They retconned that to say Arthas was dead the whole time. It was fully just Ner'zhul controlling it. Ner'zhul and Arthas merged into one new being, and then it was Jova. I like the old lore instead of the new lore. Old lore where Arthas was still inside. Where he got rid of his emotions so he could do what needed to be done was a better written character than just retconning it and saying, Teehee, Helm of Domination, Frostmourne, da-da-da. And anyways.
Trick doesn't change. It just flips perspective. He's still trying to save his people. He's just redefined people as all of Azeroth under his will. Peace through total control. No more fear and no more plague. He's wrong, but he's not random. And Wrath of...
Chat, don't get me started on Illidan. That's a 75-minute video of me ranting about how they butchered Illidan's entire story in TBC. How they had to take like 10 expansions and Legion and everything else, and the story's still kind of fucked up. There's a lot to talk about Illidan. All I'm gonna say is 10,000 years to be a cuck to your brother. Still, brother, get over Tyrande. Malfurion's been cracking her for 10,000 years. I'm gonna be real. If I was interested in a girl and I got put in prison for 10,000 years, my brother cracked her for 10,000 years, when I get out, I'm killing them both.
The Lich King nails this. Blizzard constructed
in-game.
An entire expansion that doesn't just point at a big bad. It prepares you for him. You see his armies. You see the consequences. He shows up to taunt you early, often, and perfectly in dungeons and raids. And in ICC in the raid, when he tells you he let you live to see how strong you could become, so he could raise you as a Death Knight. You believe he would, because it fits the logic. The strongest servants make the best peace. The payoff in ICC...
And in ICC, he won. Lore-wise, all 25 champions died. Arthas beat everybody. This isn't like a haha funny. Arthas beat every single person in ICC. We all lost. Of course, the Giga Chad just swinging big dick out of the fucking ice and shattering Frostmourne plot armor. But we lost. We won because of plot armor, but we actually lost to Arthas.
He works because it closes the loop. Tyrion's speech is corny in the best way. Theranos Menethil shows up for one more ghost out moment, as if Blizzard is obsessed with them. The raid gets its cutscene dopamine, boom, story complete. The Helm of Domination is passed to Borvar to keep the Scourge contained. Curtain closed. If Blizzard had let Arthas there, a clean Greek tragedy, he'd sit forever in the S tier character hall alongside Illidan. But years later, Blizzard returns to death and cosmic time.
Holy shit. I mean, look. I wasn't even a content creator when Shadowlands dropped. And all I want to say about Shadowlands is, I haven't given a fuck about WoW story since Shadowland happened. Seeing the trailer for Shadowlands and seeing Sylvanas just go, "You're weak, Bolvar," and grab the fucking Helm of Domination, rip it in two, and rip the fucking skybox open. Look, don't get... Shadowlands genuinely makes me so mad. Castle Nathria may have been banger, Syed the Nathrius may have been the GOAT, but like the only cool thing from Shadowlands was Garrosh's soul, and everybody being like, "Oh my god, they're gonna redeem Garrosh," and Garrosh coming out being like, "I do this shit again, run it back." That was the only good part of Shadowlands, was Garrosh saying, "Fuck it, spin the block one more time, let's fucking go." That's it. Like, Garrosh's part was the only good part of Shadowlands. And even then, they didn't really do Garrosh great. But, well, aside the Nathrius and Garrosh, that was it. Like, when I saw the helm, if Sylvanas had put it on and gone, "I am the Lich Queen," that might have been sick. Honestly, could have been a way better fucking timeline than fucking the Shadowlands. They retconned the entire Shadowlands. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm 3 minutes into this video and this is a 12-minute react. I'm going to let the guy talk for a little bit. I apologize.
Consuming whatever realm it is. The table was set for Arthas to make his return, and a big payoff. If redemption exists in the afterlife, should he get any? You can feel the potential. And then Shadowlands goes, actually it was mostly the jailer. Also, Frostmourne had your soul in shards. Also, we found a tiny little blue wisp, that might be you, but don't worry. Redemption? No. Resolution? Yeah, no. It's not just the cameo is small, it's that the story choice is small. Arthas becomes a prop in other characters' arcs. He isn't a character you wrestle with. He's a symbol that gets waved around and then folded up. You could argue...
Look, genuinely, Sylvanas needs to have died at the end of Wrath. You know, Sylvanas was meant to die at the end of Wrath. At the end of Wrath, she's meant to throw herself off Icecrown. Sylvanas goes, it's over. It's time to move on. And they wouldn't let her go. I'm not going to say the writer of Sylvanas and stuff, but I'm not calling anyone out in particular. You guys know who I'm talking about here. You fucked up the law because you couldn't get your Mary Sue bullshit out of your fucking head. You butchered the law to the point of garbageness so you could live out your Nathanos cuck fantasies as this random fucking side character. Like Nathanos and Sylvanas, like Nathanos should never have been anything important. Nathanos should have been like, he should have never made it out of Classic. When we killed Nathanos in Classic, he should have stayed dead in Classic. In Vanilla. Sylvanas should have died at Wrath. They should have moved on from the entire plot point there. I used to love Sylvanas. I still love pre-Legion Sylvanas. Like, pre-Legion Sylvanas is amazing. Post-Legion Sylvanas? Fuck that.
It's poetic. The monster reduced to nothing. But tragedy isn't about punishment. Tragedy is about recognition. The moment when the character and the audience understands why the fall happened and what it means. We didn't get that. Let's be really honest. People love Arthas because he is us with a worse mask. Most fantasy villains are either cursed, mind-controlled, or evil because the plot says so. Arthas is a guy who tried to save everyone and ended up saving no one. That's storytelling 101. You don't just watch him, you argue with him in your head.
It's Greek storytelling. It's Greek storytelling. The story of the righteous prince, the prophesized hero, failing and fucking up so catastrophically that he made things so much worse than if he had just done nothing. It was meant to show us the failure of human pride, the failure of ego and like the consequences of believing you are more than everybody around you. It was well written. What we ended up getting in Shadowlands, as you know, as the man puts it here, is the breakdown of like the exact same redemption of Sylvanas, except it was written so poorly, there was no redemption. There was no Sylvanas finally confronting Arthas and having her moment. She got mind controlled. Andmon got mind controlled. Everybody got mind controlled. Bullshit. The jailer did everything. It was his plot from the beginning. Everything was the jailer pre-planning your pre-plan, right? Like, it truly fucked up the story because it ruined all agency of Sylvanas. All agency of Sylvanas as a character and a storytelling arc and a tool was stripped away to make the most unsatisfying, but there's a greater threat. Like, genuinely, what could have been an amazing advent into a realm of death was a very poorly written fan fiction of the death realm of World of Warcraft. And it opened a lore gap so wide that the devs have effectively come out and said, Shadowlands isn't the Shadowlands. Shadowlands is one small section of death, and the first ones are in fact not the first ones. The first ones were created by the same people, the same super beings who predate the Titans and the first ones. They retconned everything about Shadowlands. All the mystery, the darkness, they just said, that's not how you guys remember it. That's completely different.
So when Shadowlands reframes the Lich King as a jailer DLC, when the iconic villain's agency gets turned into a web of cosmic systems and magic nonsense, we lose what made him special. And when his final moment is a voiceless wisp fading in front of characters who don't have any impact in it at all, it literally falls flat. It's worth pausing on Stratholme though. I will make a video separate for this, because it's proof Blizzard once understood this character down to the bone. You walk street by street, house by house, and you're forced to do what the game made you judge earlier. Kill citizens before the plague gets them. Mechanically, it's a timer. Morally, it's a mirror. Every click is a little betrayal dressed as mercy. That's why Arthas is so it's a mirror earlier. Click.
I do want to say it's still kind of sad that we never got Stratholme Harbor. Stratholme was a strategic harbor. It was one of the big harbors in World of Warcraft. The fact that we never got Strath Harbor is absolutely diabolical because it's what? Warcraft 3 came out in 2001? 2000? Well, when exactly did Warcraft 3 come out now? Let me take a quick look. The original Warcraft 3 release. 2002. Reign of Chaos was 2002. It's been 2002 since Stratholme, and we are now in 2026, and there is still no Strath Harbor. Not even in retail is there Strath Harbor. Anyway, sorry.
It's a little betrayal dressed as mercy. That's why Arthas is so beloved, because his story forced the player to feel the contradiction within him. Warcraft rarely gets that intense. When it does, it's unforgettable. That's exactly what it lacks today. Shadowlands needed one scene like that. Not a cameo wisp, but a confrontation. Arthas facing the memory of Stratholme, or something like that. Arthas answering his father's question. My son, was it worth it? Even a single line acknowledging that he knows what he became. Instead, the game pretends the most important soul.
If Arthas had, like, in Shadowlands, instead of a wisp, Arthas had, like, you know, in the fight against the jailer, Arthas had come out and done some cataclysmic sacrifice of his soul. So his soul was dying out. So he was gone forever. And he helped us defeat the jailer. At the end, when he looked at everybody, and Sylvanas, in her wrath and her anger, was like, you ruined everything, Arthas. This is your fault everything happened. And he just looked at her and goes, I know what I did, Sylvanas. I'm the monster that started a chain of events that permeate to this day. And still, I sacrificed everything to save my people, to save your people. And I failed. But I would not change what I did, Sylvanas, because I put everything on the line. My failure is a testament to my humanity. And my death, my final true death, does not redeem it. But I gave everything for Azeroth. And I would do it again. And then having him fade away, apologizing, admitting, and owning up to it. That would have been a sick ending to Arthas. Not a fucking animal was getting disenchanted. I'm sorry.
In the franchise's history is better as fertilizer for other people's arcs. In some common defense, Arthas wasn't in control. He was just a victim of Frostmourne, voice lines and ancient runes, and a big bold man from cosmic purgatory, the Jailer. The Lich King isn't just one guy. There's Ner'zhul's history, the Helm's Will, the Blade's Whispers, all that good spooky stuff. But Arthas' decisions predates the curse. That's what gives the curse traction. The helmet didn't override a saint. It amplified a prince who had already decided that ends justify means. The reason Wrath of the Lich King endures is that it delivered closure with purpose.
And that's the thing. Ends justify the means. The whole point of Arthas' character was he knew he fucked up, but he believed that it was still the right choice. Arthas could fight back against Frostmourne. Lore-wise, canonically at the time, he could fight back. He truly believed uniting the world under the Scourge was the right play to save Azeroth from the coming Burning Legion. Because what Ner'zhul showed him was the might of the Legion. A disunited, broken Azeroth could never stand against the Legion. Archimonde by himself almost conquered Azeroth single-handedly. The Lich King, Arthas, knew that he was taking everybody's free will away. But it was better to have a free Azeroth than to have people with free will. And they butchered that whole storytelling. Just to say like, oh, now it's just Ner'zhul and controlling him.
There must always be a Lich King. Wasn't just a cool line. It answered the setting's question, what keeps the Scourge contained? And the thematic question, what price do we pay to fix what one man broke? Bolvar's sacrifice, reframed power as burden. That's elegant. Instead it retcons meaning by making the Jailer the master manipulator, who was there since the very beginning, a guy whose nipple is as big as my head. And here's where Blizzard absolutely fumbled the bag. You've got
giant nipple, bold motherfucking Thanos wannabe, goddamn. Dude, I would throw hands with the fucking Jailer right fucking now. Whoever wrote the Jailer, if I have
one of the most iconic villains in gaming history, the prince who murdered his own people, betrayed his kingdom, and Shadowlands decided his ending should be a blue wisp floating around for 5 seconds. And to add insult to injury, who gets the final word? Not Jaina? Not Uther, not even Tyrannus, in some ghostly My Son callback. No, it's Sylvanas, the character Blizzard had already spent 2 expansions rewriting into an overpowered Merisu, and her line is this.
Begone then, Arthas Menethil. May the last whisper of your name fade and be forgotten.
That's it, that's the send-off. No confrontation about Stratholme, no reckoning with Uther, no final spark of humanity for Jaina to see. Just lol, fade away mate. And it's not even clever irony, it's a slap in the face to what made Arthas matter. The whole point of a tragedy is that we do remember. The fall leaves scars and the lessons stick. To say fade and be forgotten is basically Blizzard saying we don't want to write this anymore. Please stop asking about it.
The ending of Shadowlands is the same quality of writing as this fucking scene right here.
But we players don't forget. We never will. He was
genuinely such a dog shit scene. I was so mad. I was so fucking mad when I saw that.
The story that taught Warcraft how to be more than orcs versus humans. He was the contradiction, the heartbreak, the George R. R. Martin heart in conflict with itself. You don't just say bye-bye with a one-liner from a character who didn't even know him when he was alive. We got a blue mote quietly extinguished in a room full of characters who treat him like a lore exhibit. The Jailer was behind everything, the nipple guy was behind it all. It was nonsense. If you're going to open a door to the afterlife, you can't walk past the franchise's most important character. And why this matters is literally everyone has heard of the Lich King. From my mum to the guy that serves your coffee at 9 AM in the morning. You cannot disrespect a character with such rich history.
The Lich King is probably the one of the top 5 most well-known characters. I could ask any random person, Lich King, they've probably heard of the Lich King. They've heard of, for example, Kratos. Lich King, Kratos, Mario, Link, but they're gonna call him Zelda. Let's see who else most people in the world would know, who is up at there and that level of like global well-knownness. There's Pac-Man, I guess, but
history as the Lich King, and people wonder why they don't respect Blizzard's storytelling anymore. Arthas is the best proof Blizzard ever wrote that the genre can do new ones, which is why seeing him reduced to a blue dot that goes poof hurts so much. At the end of the day, Arthas Menethil is still one of the best written characters Blizzard ever produced. A prince with the right ideals and the wrong methods. A villain whose arguments were almost convincing. A tragedy that taught players something about themselves. Wrath closed that story beautifully. Shadowlands opened it again and then took a dump on it. Maybe one day Blizzard revisits death in a cleverer plan. Maybe
they've already said that like 95% of Shadowlands is retconned. So I guarantee Arthas is still alive and most of the BS in Shadowlands didn't happen. I do know they're planning on doing, I think, like, because they were talking about how at the end of the World Soul Saga, they were going to do something really insane, which I think is a time skip and a refixing of the lore. So a brand new set of like chronicle books where they completely reset the story and the lore and like everything and just make a much better experience.
Won't. But if World of Warcraft wants to feel grounded again, it needs to remember why Arthas worked in the first place. The human heart in conflict with itself. Anyway, that's my case. If you disagree, I'll see you in Dornogal, 1v1 me. If you like this breakdown and want more, hit subscribe. It helps the video get recommended to more Warcraft sickos like us, and it tells me to keep going. Thank you for watching.
A banger video by my boy Bloomsday. There's gonna be a link to this video in the description down below, so go check it out. Go give the man some love. Phenomenal video, very well said, very well done. It was just a good video. I do agree with most of what he said.